Hey everybody, it's John from Denarii Games, and we're following up with a mod we did for the MMORPG kit, adding in some kinematic action. So last time we integrated the impact interaction system, and we expanded that a little bit. So you can see now we're picking up the terrain materials. You're not seeing that puff of smoke on the grass, and you will see it, for example, on the dirt. You'll also notice that we've added in the animations. So this is the bit of work we just finished up. We really wanted to have rigid body animations play here. There's a little bit of a stop movement there when we're stopping run, but it's definitely more pronounced when you're sprinting. So because you're sprinting, there's some momentum. We want that animation to kind of carry you a little bit further forward than where you actually stopped running. It was pretty straightforward for us to do, pull off. We were able to borrow heavily from another mod. This is from Rob over at Real Good Games. He's got a chat emote mod that I kind of took apart and tried to figure out how it worked. And that was kind of the basis for some of that animation code. So I do want to share code. Right now this is the partial for the player character entity. We're continuing to modify it, every day, every week. But right now we're setting up two things up front: the animator and that rigid body entity movement components. And then this is now the main logic for, anytime the animator moves, we're looking, is there forward movement or not? If there is forward movement, and there wasn't previously, then we're going to set up some variables. But otherwise, we're kind of just looking for that. We're also going to start to record things like, for example, the sprint time. The last time they sprinted. We don't always want to fire off the sprint animation, only if they most recently done it, when the movement stops. And of course, if they're not moving forward, then the big else there is that they've stopped. And we're going to fire off this coroutine that we're calling on kinematic stop. So up top is the beginning of some code that I think needs to be improved a bit, but it's basically trying to handle some network syncing issues. We do a brief wait, and we also then look to see if we've resumed forward movement. If we are, then we kind of exit out early. And then we kind of get into the lion's share of the code here. First thing we do is we look at the last time we played an animation, and so we want to kind of limit that to every number of seconds maximum. And then we're looking for number of comparisons. We're looking at the last time they sprinted. We're looking at how long they ran for, and from that we're trying to determine which animation to play. If all that kind of checks out, then we have some kinematic movement. Then we're going to trigger off that impact interaction that we talked about previously. That has not changed in terms of the code structure. What has is the stuff below it. That's again coming from that chat emote by and large. The one thing that we did add was that rigid body movement. So we're going to set that briefly to true at the very beginning of the animation. And then we're basically playing that that action directly, function, which is a utility again coming from that other add-on. We're going to loop through and wait for it to end. And when it ends, we're going to kind of reset that rigid body setting for movement. So that's basically the logic for the code. So now let's take a look inside the editor. We've got another partial that we've created. This is for the animator character itself. This one says UMA up there, but it's basically the same thing. That just adds some additional properties for UMA. But if we scroll down here, we'll see the settings we added for that kinematic motion. Right there. So there's the impact tag that we're just kind of figuring out which one we want to fire. Below are the animation clips for the different types of kinematic stuff that we're going to try to handle. And you can see that kinematic stop, for example, if I click through on the animation, importantly, the root motion is not baked in into the pose, because we actually want that forward motion, as I said earlier. That's about it. Have a good night.